it's just amazing. And this is like a spin-off. It's just unheard of. So that's what was on my mind at that point.
You won't believe the secrets hiding behind the smiles of television's most beloved loudmouths and sassy maids. The Jeffersons moved on up, but what did their stars really leave behind when the cameras stopped rolling? Prepare to uncover shocking truths and untold stories that most fans never ever figured out. Sherman Hemsley.
And I called out and say, "This is Sherman Hemsley. Hold it, we're looking for you."
They've been looking for him. They were looking for him high and low, couldn't find him.
But you should have seen him.
Let's start with Sherman Hemsley, the man who brought George Jefferson to life. George was loud, proud, and in everyone's business, but the real Sherman was almost the exact opposite. He was a very private man, so quiet that many of his co-stars said they never truly got to know him. He kept to himself, even when surrounded by the cast and crew on set. It was a secret part of him, almost like he built a wall around his private world. Sherman was born in Philadelphia. He didn't have an easy start. He dropped out of school and joined the Air Force. After that, he worked at a post office, handling mail during the day. But at night, a different kind of life called to him. He loved acting and slowly started to follow that dream. He joined a group called the Negro Ensemble Company, which helped black actors get their start. This led him to Broadway, where he performed in a play called Pearlie. It was his work on Broadway that caught the eye of Norman Lear, a very famous TV producer. Norman Lear knew he wanted Sherman to play George Jefferson. But Sherman was busy with the play and didn't want to leave New York. So Norman Lear did something amazing. He held the part of George open for Sherman for a whole year. He waited until Sherman was ready to move to Los Angeles and step into that role that would make him a star. When Sherman finally became George, it was a huge change for him. George was rude and pushy, always yelling or complaining. Sherman himself found it hard to play such a mean character. He was a gentle soul, and sometimes the role of George felt like a heavy coat he had to wear. His co-star Isabel Sanford, who played Louise, even gave him a funny nickname, Neck. It stuck, but it also showed how close they became, even with his quiet ways. There was even a time when Sherman accidentally called Louise Wheezy on set, and that nickname stuck and became a famous part of the show. But there was an even deeper secret Sherman held close. While he was George Jefferson, known for his flashy suits and big personality, Sherman was a very quiet, spiritual man who loved music. He even released his own R&B album. But perhaps the biggest secret about Sherman Hemsley was his personal life. He never married and never had children. He lived a very private life, and many in Hollywood knew, but he never openly talked about being a gay man. In an era when it was much harder to be open about such things in show business, Sherman kept this part of himself largely out of the public eye. It was a truth known to his close friends and industry insiders, but one he chose not to share widely. He spent his later years quietly, living a simple life, far from the bright lights and big city of his TV character. When Sherman passed away in 2012, his private nature continued. There was even a fight over his will. He left his money and home to a friend, but some people claimed to be his long-lost relatives. This messy fight showed just how hidden his personal life was, even after he was gone. It was a sad end for a man who brought so much joy to millions. Isabel Sanford.
They're afraid if they fall, they'll never get back up on their feet again.
Oh, that's sweet of you, Weezy, and smart, too.
Speaking of joy, how could anyone forget Isabel Sanford, the wonderful actress who played Louise Jefferson, also known as Wheezy? She was the calm voice of reason to George's crazy antics. But Isabel's path to stardom was just as interesting, and perhaps even more surprising, than Sherman's. Isabel was born in New York City. From a young age, she dreamed of being an actress. But her mother did not want her to pursue acting. She thought it was not a good path for her daughter. Despite this, Isabel secretly chased her dream. She performed in local clubs and at the famous Apollo Theater. She joined acting groups, just like Sherman did. For a long time, she worked a regular job as a key punch operator, making sure she could take care of herself while still going after her passion. Her hard work paid off. She made her Broadway debut in a play called The Amen Corner. Then she got a small but important role in a big movie called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. This movie was very special because it talked about serious things like race, which was rare for movies at that time. When she landed the role of Louise Jefferson, Isabel was 58 years old. It was a time when many people might think about slowing down, but for Isabel, her biggest success was just beginning. She brought warmth and strength to Wheezy. She was often the one who put George in his place, but always with love. Isabel made history on The Jeffersons. She became the first black actress to win an Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series. This was a huge deal, not just for her, but for all black actresses in Hollywood. It showed that black women could be leading stars, not just side characters. Sherman Hemsley, her TV husband, called her the Queen, and the whole cast agreed. Even though The Jeffersons was a comedy, sometimes real-life moments slipped in. There was one famous scene where George was being particularly stubborn. Isabel, as Louise, looked at him and, without planning it, blurted out, "Please?" The audience went wild. It was a real funny moment that perfectly showed their characters' relationship and became a classic line. After The Jeffersons ended, Isabel continued to act. She appeared in other popular TV shows like Living Single and The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, often alongside Sherman Hemsley. They even did commercials together, still playing their famous characters. Their friendship off-screen was very real. Marla Gibbs, who played Florence, said that everyone on The Jeffersons felt like family, and she was very close to Sherman until he passed away. This means that, unlike some shows with lots of fighting behind the scenes, The Jeffersons set was mostly a happy place. Isabel Sanford passed away in 2004 at the age of 86. She left behind a legacy of laughter and groundbreaking achievements. She was a true example of never giving up on your dreams, no matter how old you are or what challenges you face. And what about Florence Johnston, the sassy maid who always had a comeback for George? That was Marla Gibbs, and her story is just as inspiring and full of surprises. Florence Johnston.
Why don't you work it out with Miss Jefferson? I can always get something else from the agency.
Thank you, Florence.
Marla Gibbs was born in Chicago. Before she became a TV star, she worked a regular job, just like Isabel. She was a reservations agent for United Airlines. Think about that for a moment. The same Florence who was always arguing with George Jefferson was helping people book flights. Marla actually kept working for United Airlines for 2 years, even after she started on The Jeffersons. Imagine going from arguing with George on set to answering phone calls about flight delays. It shows how grounded she was and how hard she worked. She acted in local black theaters, building her skills, and slowly started getting small film roles. When she joined The Jeffersons, her character Florence was only supposed to be in a few episodes. But Marla's quick wit and smart answers made Florence a fan favorite. People loved how she stood up to George. So the writers made her a full-time character, and she became an essential part of the show's humor. Marla herself was known for her strong personality, and she brought that fire to Florence, making her unforgettable. But Marla Gibbs wasn't just an actress. She was a businesswoman and a singer, too. In the 1980s, she owned her very own jazz club in Los Angeles called Marla's Memory Lane Jazz and Supper Club. This was no small side hobby. She ran it for almost 20 years. She also released her own albums as a singer. So, while you saw her on TV making people laugh, she was also running a business and singing her heart out on stage. It's a surprising layer to the woman who played Florence. After The Jeffersons, Marla Gibbs got her own spin-off show called Checking In, though it didn't last long. But then she went on to star in another very popular sitcom, 227. On that show, she was not just the lead actress, but she also helped produce it, and she even sang the theme song. Marla Gibbs is still acting today and has continued to inspire many. She even received her own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a true honor for her long and amazing career. Roxy Roker and Franklin Cover.
Ballpoint pens are not for writing. They're for making marks. I need a pen with a point. Now, what have you done with my pen?
I don't know.
From the sassy maid, let's turn to the groundbreaking neighbors. The Jeffersons introduced television's first regular interracial couple, Helen and Tom Willis, played by Roxy Roker and Franklin Cover. This was a huge, brave step for TV in the 1970s, and it came with its own set of challenges and untold stories. Roxy Roker, who played the kind and elegant Helen Willis, had a remarkable background. She was born in Miami and went to Howard University, a famous historically black college. Like Isabel and Sherman, she was also part of the Negro Ensemble Company, showing how many talented black actors came from that group. Roxy was already a respected stage actress, winning awards for her theater work, even getting nominated for a Tony Award. But there was a secret truth in Roxy Roker's own life that made her perfect for the role of Helen Willis. She was married to a white man in real life. Her husband was Cy Kravitz, a white Russian Jewish TV producer. Their son is the famous rock star Lenny Kravitz. When Norman Lear, the show's creator, was putting the Jeffersons together, he wasn't sure if audiences would accept an interracial couple on TV. It was a big risk back then. But Roxy, with her calm confidence, showed him a picture of her real-life family, her white husband, and their mixed-race son. That picture spoke louder than any words. It showed Norman Lear that this kind of family was real, and it helped him push through with the idea. The show did address the topic head-on. George Jefferson, being George, at first called Tom and Helen zebras because they were a mixed-race couple. He was prejudiced, which was part of his character's flaws. But over time, even George learned to accept them. It was a powerful message for millions of viewers watching at home, challenging old ideas and showing that love comes in all colors. Franklin Cover, who played Tom Willis, was also an experienced actor, mainly in theater. He had worked in many plays before joining the Jeffersons. He brought a quiet dignity to Tom, balancing Roxy's grace. Together, they made history simply by being a loving couple on screen, showing that race didn't define their bond. Roxy Roker continued to act in other TV shows after the Jeffersons, but she also became a big advocate for children. She was honored by the Los Angeles City Council for her work helping kids in the community. She passed away in 1995 from breast cancer, leaving behind a legacy of breaking barriers both on and off screen. Franklin Cover also continued acting in TV shows and movies, appearing in well-known films like Wall Street. He passed away in 2006. Together, Roxy and Franklin were a quiet revolution on TV, showing that acceptance and love could truly move on up. Now let's talk about the character who linked the Jeffersons to All in the Family, Lionel Jefferson. This role had a surprising twist that many fans might not remember. Two different actors played him. Lionel Jefferson's role.
Morning, Mom. Morning, Pop.
Good morning, Lionel.
Morning, my son.
The first Lionel was Mike Evans. Mike had a fascinating entry into Hollywood. He was a drama major, but he didn't have much acting experience. One day, a casting agent for Norman Lear picked him up while he was hitchhiking. That chance encounter led him to his first role as Lionel in All in the Family. Norman Lear had actually wanted a different actor, Cleavon Little, for the part at first, but Mike got the job. Mike Evans brought a quiet strength to Lionel, who was Archie Bunker's black neighbor and the boyfriend, then husband, of Jenny Willis. But Mike had a secret ambition beyond acting. He was a writer. After the first season of The Jeffersons, Mike left the show. Many thought it was just because he wanted to focus on his writing. However, there's a lesser-known story about his departure. Jimmy Walker, who played JJ on Good Times, a show Mike Evans co-created, shared a secret. He said Mike was unhappy with his screen time on The Jeffersons. At a Christmas party, Mike supposedly went right up to Norman Lear, complaining that he didn't have enough lines and threatened to quit if things didn't change. He ended up leaving, and while he did return for a short time later, this behind-the-scenes disagreement was a big part of why the original Lionel disappeared. Mike Evans didn't just write, he created a whole new show. He helped create Good Times, which became another huge hit. It was a spin-off of another Norman Lear show, Maude. Mike wanted to show more of the daily lives of a black family, and Good Times did just that. After his acting career, he became a successful commercial real estate investor. He passed away in 2006 from throat cancer. After Mike Evans left the first time, a new face stepped in as Lionel. This was Damon Evans. It's a rare thing for a major character to be replaced without much explanation on TV, and Damon's story is one of determination and unexpected turns. Damon Evans had a unique talent. He was a classical singer. He even got a scholarship to a special arts school for his voice. When he was just 17, he started his own opera company in Baltimore. So he was already an impressive artist before TV came calling. When he took over the role of Lionel, it was a huge challenge. He didn't even watch the Jeffersons beforehand and got no real guidance on how to play the character. He just stepped in and made it his own. He also starred in the important TV miniseries Roots, The Next Generation. But Damon's true passion always remained classical singing. He actually left TV to pursue his dream of becoming an opera singer. And he did. He won a big role in the famous opera Porgy and Bess. This led him to sing all over the world with famous groups like the London Symphony Orchestra and the Berlin Philharmonic. He even performed at New York's Carnegie Hall. However, a truly shocking event happened during one of his opera performances. While on stage, Damon was attacked. Another singer came at him, hitting him. Damon believed it was out of jealousy because he was getting so much attention for his singing. This terrifying moment could have ended his career, but instead it strangely helped him. The attack pushed him even further into the world of classical singing, and he overcame the fear to achieve even greater success overseas. Damon Evans also holds a significant and more private secret. He is an openly gay black man. He was even present during the Stonewall riots, a very important moment in the fight for LGBTQ+ rights. Living as an openly gay black man in the entertainment industry was challenging then, and it took immense courage. And who was Lionel's wife, the charming Jenny Willis Jefferson? That was Berlinda Tolbert. She was a constant presence in the groundbreaking interracial family storyline on The Jeffersons. Berlinda Tolbert.
See, I'm looking for a guy named Lionel Jefferson. You know, you look like him. Well, I take that back. You got a much bigger head.
Berlinda began her acting career in the early 1970s, appearing in shows like That's My Mama and Sanford and Son. But did you know she also had a small part in a famous film by Martin Scorsese called Mean Streets? It was one of her very first film roles, a surprising detail for someone so known for a sitcom. Berlinda played Jenny for the entire run of The Jeffersons, seeing her character grow from a girlfriend to a wife and then a mother. She was a key part of showing an interracial family thrive on TV. After The Jeffersons, Berlinda continued to act in films like Harlem Nights and Goodfellas and made appearances on popular TV shows like ER and 6 Feet Under. Later in her life, Berlinda made a heartwarming decision that speaks volumes about her character. She largely retired from acting to care for her aging parents. It's a quiet, beautiful act of love and dedication that many fans may never know about. And how could we forget the strange, often confused neighbor, Harry Bentley? That was Paul Benedict, and his real story is even more surprising than his character. Paul Benedict.
Merry Christmas!
Bentley, Christmas ain't till next week.
Yes, I know that, but I wanted to avoid the Christmas rush.
Many people thought Paul Benedict was British because of his character's accent and manners. But here's the secret. Paul Benedict was American. He was born in New Mexico. His ability to play a convincing Englishman was a testament to his incredible acting skills. Paul had a very long and rich career in theater. He worked with famous actors like Robert De Niro, Dustin Hoffman, and Al Pacino before they became huge stars. He was part of many important plays on Broadway and in regional theaters. But Paul also lived with a hidden physical challenge. He suffered from a rare condition called acromegaly. This condition causes the body to produce too much growth hormone, which can lead to larger hands, feet, and facial features. It was actually an audience member who happened to be a doctor who watched him in a play and recognized the signs. This doctor later contacted Paul, and he was able to get a diagnosis. This hidden health battle shaped his appearance and was a part of his life that few outside his close circle knew. Despite his unique appearance and his role as the quirky Bentley, Paul Benedict was known as a very kind and gentle person with no ego. He continued to act in films like This Is Spinal Tap and A Mighty Wind, and made guest appearances on shows like Seinfeld. He passed away in 2008 from a brain hemorrhage. He was a master of comedy who hid his true nationality and battled a serious condition while making us all laugh. Finally, we must remember Mother Jefferson, George's feisty and wise mother. She was played by the amazing Zara Cully. Her story is one of enduring talent and overcoming great odds. Zara Cully.
I've been worried about Lionel ever since Louise called. Has he come home yet?
No, and I don't know what I'm going to do.
Here's a shocking fact. Zara Cully was 82 years old when she started playing Mother Jefferson on The Jeffersons. Imagine starting one of your most famous roles in your 80s. She had already been acting for half a century before joining the show. She was known as one of the greatest elocutionists and was even called the Dean of Drama in Florida for her teaching work. Zara's early life was marked by the harsh realities of racism in the Jim Crow South. The prejudice she faced was so severe that she eventually moved to Hollywood to find more opportunities. This hidden struggle in her past made her performance as a wise, strong black woman even more powerful. Zara Cully originated the role of Mother Jefferson on All in the Family before moving to the spin-off. She brought so much warmth and sharp humor to the character. Sadly, during the show's run, Zara became ill with pneumonia and later lung cancer. She passed away in 1978 at the age of 86. The show honored her by writing her death into the storyline, allowing the characters and the audience to mourn the loss of a beloved figure. It was a raw, real moment that touched many viewers. The Jeffersons cast brought us endless laughter and truly broke new ground on television. But as you've seen, behind the famous characters were real people with their own surprising stories, hidden challenges, and personal triumphs. From secret battles with health or identity to quiet acts of love or even behind-the-scenes disagreements, these actors lived lives far richer and more complex than most fans ever realized. They moved on up in their careers and in their lives, leaving behind a legacy of entertainment and unseen strength.